Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and welcome back to another episode. And on this episode, I will be discussing why collecting and watching movies is my hobby. So, let's get to the topic. So I want to start off with, first of all, the foundations of these two hobbies of collecting movies and watching movies. Where did it start for me personally? Look, I've always enjoyed movies growing up and watching movies and kind of collecting movies, kind of very much from my parents. My dad used to collect from car boots, VHS. We'd have like a decent sized VHS collection, then obviously moved into DVD. And then as an adult, I've collected DVDs and I've recently got into Blu-rays and 4Ks. And it's just something that's always just been the, certain periods it went down. I suppose it's went less, but then it's just like kind of fluctuated through over the years. As a full-grown adult as I am now, and so it's the interest in collecting movies has always been there, but watching movies has always been an interest of mine as well. Just enjoying them as a kid, like we all do. But I think for me, I really did enjoy movies growing up, and I really use them as like a just that time to switch off and enjoy and get a lot of pleasure from as a kid and as an adult now. So why is watching movies my hobby? I want to start with this one. I kind of mentioned it before, but they chill me out. Movies chill me out. I genuinely, I like to switch off. When I put a movie on, I can really do just like switch off. It's like an escapism, I suppose, if you like. I just get it's, I enjoy other things like video games, but a movie for me is one where I can just literally sit there, sit in the chair and just totally unwind and chill out and watch it, and just like really, it's like my brain kind of just gets sucked into the TV, and it's like the body's not there, the mind is just watching the TV. The body's no longer in function. It's just the body is just chilled out completely. Other things that I like doing with movies, what I enjoy about watching movies as a hobby is noting them down, and I do this for kind of like two reasons. Is like for the YouTube channel for mental notes. So what I do after every movie, and I've mentioned this before, I do I don't use like Letterboxd or anything like that. I do think some of these apps kind of look quite cool, and I'm interested in flipping over. But what I do is I just have my phone, and basically in my phone I have I use a notes section, and every time I watch a movie I put the date of the movie. And I only do this on new movies, I will say, or movies I've not watched in ages that feels like a fresh watch. And I'll put I do like a free thumb system. So if it's a phenomenal movie, amazing, it gets 3 thumbs, and then 2 and 1. And then I write a little small description, like solid film, I like this part, I like the ending, I like the music, or whatever, the acting. And I enjoy that because it's kind of a little note. At the end of the year, it's nice to go through the list and see what movies I've watched, to see how many I've watched as well. And it's also really helpful, I find, because I've got a really bad memory at times. I sometimes I can forget a movie about a day after watching it. So it's nice to be able to go back, and then it kind of refreshes my memory a lot with the movies as well. So I enjoy that aspect. I love doing the noting of movies after I've watched them. That's like a little side hobby within the hobby, I suppose, if you like. And I genuinely, and I've noticed now, but I genuinely get excited by movies that I've never watched before. And going in two ideas. I like a movie. The idea that there's tons of movies out there that I've never watched, like some classic movies I've never seen before that I've still got that opportunity to give it the first time watch. I also like that idea of going into a movie and knowing zero about it and having no idea what I'm going into, and then just being absolutely drawn by that movie. I mean, one I come to think of more recently is the movie Parasite, where it was like that. Didn't have a clue what it was about. I kind of, in my mind, I thought it was going to be sort of like some sort of parasite creatures or something like that. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but it wasn't that. But it was a solid movie. But that's what I like, and I get really genuinely excited by that aspect of watching movies, and I think that has definitely grown the older I've got. And maybe I didn't have that as much as a kid in exploring new movies. But now, as an adult, I enjoy exploring new movies and get that excitement. It's so cool, putting a new movie on in the movie room that I've never seen before. That I'm really, really excited to see. It's great. So now let's shift it to why collecting movies is a hobby of mine as well. First of all, I enjoy having a physical collection, not a big collection, a fairly a modest collection, I would say. I like putting together a collection of movies that I really do enjoy. I always say this, it's kind of like an attachment of me, like just this extension, if you like, my movie collection of the movies I enjoy. I don't intend on getting every single movie, every single release. I'm not about that, and kudos if you are like that. I just want the movies that I really do enjoy and that I'm really like, this is a part of me, this is a movie I'm going to watch over and over again, I'm going to enjoy. I want it on physical. I enjoy that. I also enjoy the aspect of the hunt, probably an overused term in movie collecting, but the hunt, the fun of the hunt and the joy of the hunt, if you like. I really do like. I do it once a week. I go out generally most weekends. I work during the week. Saturdays and Sundays I'm free, so I enjoy going out. And it probably sounds really. Maybe some people would say it sounds boring, but for me, it's another part of the hobby where I really enjoy just going out, visiting a ton of charity shops, looking at the DVDs, looking at the Blu-rays, seeing what's there. And you know what? Half the time I don't even pick up stuff. It's just the fun of it. And when it's like, it reminds me of going car boots as a kid. That joy of like getting stuff that you're after. It's so much fun. There's two aspects. I enjoy that. I love doing that every weekend. It's a nice little trip out. Go out, have a little look around, get a bit of exercise as well. Go around HMV as well. I also enjoy as well going online and looking for bargains on eBay, on Amazon, finding Blu-rays, DVDs, 4Ks that are maybe harder to get, and to look out for them. And I love that sort of like being patient as well and putting it in your basket, waiting for it to come down to a price that you are happy with. And I think you get a real buzz then when you get it at a price that is like really cheap. When you see something drop like 50% or something, you're like, wow, I'm going to go for that. I think that is really fun, especially it's a movie that you're really after and that you want to get. I think it's really good. And what I do enjoy, and this has kind of been a really new one for me in the past year, if I'm being honest, is the excitement of, maybe if you can relate to this, let me know. The excitement of waiting for, say, for example, Arrow announcing the new releases. I go on that. There's an Instagram page called Dawn of the Discs, which is really good. They leak all the movies beforehand, and sometimes I do look at that, but sometimes I do wait as well for the actual announcements. But I get really excited when the new movies are announced on Blu-ray and 4K now, and especially when it's movies that I'm really passionate about and really excited to see. And when it, like for example, this year when we had like Good, the Bad and the Ugly announced, and Roadhouse, recently Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, to hear them announcements as a fan of those movies is super cool and super. When I'm looking on the internet, I'm like, and Arrow do it where they'll say like they're going to do their announcements at like 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock or whatever. I remember the other week I was just like, I think it was like a Friday, and it was when the Ninja Turtles announcements were going to drop, and I was on my phone. I think it was like at dinner time. I was like waiting. It was like the excitement of waiting. It's I think it's really fun, and I love that. And that's another aspect of it. And again, it's not about every single release. It's only certain releases where I'm going to get that sort of buzz. But it's fun. I find it really fun. It really engages me, and it does give. I get really. I get a bit of movie cheer from that, guys. So I now want to talk about the hobby combined with social media and YouTube. What do I mean by this? I think for me, being able to share my thoughts on movies and going back, I discussed a list of movies I make, then discussing it on videos and talking about movies I've watched, also movies movies that are coming out, and just general aspects of movie collecting, movie rooms, watching movies, experiences, similar to this type of video. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I've said it before, but it feels like a bit like a. I've never been to therapy, but I feels like it's some sort of like therapy session at times. I've got to that point now where I feel like I'm speaking to people when I'm talking to the web. I've got this webcam here. I feel like I'm not. I don't feel like I'm in a room, in an empty room, just speaking to no one. I feel like I'm speaking to people because I know the video is going to go out, and then there's going to be people, commenting, discussing the community, and I love that aspect. And it really is like an unloading when I'm discussing movies, and I really do enjoy it. I think it's really important because I've talked about this with several people more recently as well, and it's you go to your day job, and sometimes you can meet people who you can relate to and you have similar interests, similar hobbies. But you really don't have that time sometimes to discuss the passion, your hobbies in full detail. But with doing YouTube and with doing social media, you get to have them conversations with like-minded people who have a really, very similar interest. They like movies, like collecting movies, movie rooms. That's what I like about it, and I think it's really the most important aspect that I really like about combining the watching movies, collecting movies with YouTube and social media. I think it's a great aspect. I also think as well, I watch more movies now since doing it, and I think it's definitely progressed year on year out with doing the YouTube channel. Definitely in the last 2 to 3 years, I've watched more and more movies. More and more new movies, though, movies that I've never seen before, and I like it. I think that's been a growing thing with me, which I really do enjoy more and more now. And it's not that I don't go back to the old movies, because I do. That's why I have a physical collection. I do like going back to different movies every so often, every month, most definitely. But it's growing that kind of like that interest and watching more movies. I like having that, hearing about movies on when I'm watching other people's videos and podcasts and stuff like that, and watching movies they mention, and then I can kind of give my opinion on it, and that's what I like about it. I also like the gamification, which I like to gamify things. So I do this fairly often now. I don't really talk about it that often, but I do it just kind of on my own as a solo thing. I do like social media challenges where I'm not super regular unless I force myself to do social media at times. So for me, I do like a challenge. I'll sometimes say I'm going to do, a whole month. I've got to do either an Instagram post, a YouTube reel, or a TikTok, something every single day. And I do that sometimes. I don't do it every single month, but some months I'll do it, and it's really fun to do because you get people engaged, you start new conversations, you get to know new people, which is really fun. I also, upcoming challenges I'm doing is the 31 days of horror over October, doing 31 days of horror movies. I did it last year, watched a bunch of movies I'd never watched before. Again, more interactions, more discussions with people about movies I wouldn't have had conversations about before, which for me, I think is really fun. I think it's great. I'm going into a genre of films that I don't particularly gravitate to as much, but it's fun to explore them as well. It's that exploration of new movies I wouldn't have watched before, and also that discussion of where I can interact with people about movies that I've never seen before as well, and have my sort of opinion and have a conversation as well, which I really enjoy. So I think that is, some of the major aspects of why I like combining both of those hobbies with doing YouTube and social media. So are these my only hobbies? No, they are not. I do have other hobbies as well. I do enjoy. I mean, it's like, what do you define as a hobby? I think something that you spend a certain amount of time on a week that you get passionate. You're passionate about. You spend time on. If you know me, I love wrestling. I love watching wrestling. To me, watching wrestling is a hobby. I collect wrestling figures, not all the time, but again, it's an interest. It's a hobby. I like to look at figures, even if it's not buying stuff. Same with movies. It's looking at them, what's been out, what's been released previously, the history of them. I really get interested in that and nerd out on stuff like that. I'm a big football fan. I'm a I am a Manchester United fan. Unfortunately, I love watching football. Listening to podcasts is a big one for me. I really do enjoy that. I'm also big on like reading, audiobooks again, and exercise. I've just named every single hobby going, haven't I? But I do enjoy exercising. Not like mad in the gym. I do a lot of home workouts. Walking, I enjoy doing that as well. Few different hobbies. I think it's good to have a mix of things. But yeah, movies and collecting movies definitely one of my ones that I gravitate to more, that I do enjoy a lot more. But I do have these other hobbies as well that I also enjoy. Do I think I will ever lose my interest in this hobby of this movie interest of collecting movies, watching movies? I don't think I will ever fully lose interest. And I kind of thought, well, I think sometimes we grow. I'm in my 30s now. What I enjoyed in my 20s definitely is different to what I enjoy now. And I'm sure when I get to my 40s and 50s, 60s, 70s, I will probably change again. No doubt. I think you're mad to think that you won't change. I think movies will always be something that I'm interested in, though. Maybe it maybe slows down a bit, and maybe I don't collect as much, or I don't watch as much. Maybe I don't do YouTube anymore. But I think it will always be there. And I think even if I didn't do the YouTube, like I said, I think I still enjoy movies. And I think even if I lost, I always think of it as this, and this is a conversation I've had recently with a few different creators, where, if you lose the full interest in the hobby, would you walk away from doing YouTube and social media? And I think I've done it before with, in my early 20s, I was in bands, doing music, and that hobby for me is very much like, it's gone for me now. I don't do music, I don't do a band. I do have guitar, I do have instruments still, but I kind of close that door on that hobby. Not to say it won't ever open again. I always like the never say never sort of approach to everything. But I always think there's certain aspects then I bring into it. I do like little compositions for little music bits on the show sometimes. So it's still in the background a bit, but it's not where it was when I was in my early 20s. And I think I close that door. And I think with YouTube, if I lost the interest in doing YouTube in general, and maybe just watching movies, collecting movies, it just didn't interest me anymore. I think it's really important to just walk away. I really do, because I think if you're just doing something for the sake of doing it, there's sometimes I do videos some weeks, or sometimes I take weeks off because I'm just tired. And it's not about losing interest, but I think if it got to that point where it was like, I do not want to film a video, I do not want to be watching movies, to film videos, to have discussions, to have stuff to talk about, whatever. I think that's the time to close the door on any hobby. I really do. And I wouldn't be afraid to kind of be like, yeah, let's close shop, let's move on to something else. I think it's always important that, but yeah. it's ended on a downer, this topic. So that is that for this topic, ladies and gents. Let me know your thoughts on it. Is movie collecting and watching movies, do you count it as a hobby, or is it just something you do? Where do you stand? Is it a hobby for you? Is it not a hobby? Maybe let me know some of your other interests as well, some of your other hobbies as well. If you do collect movies and watch movies, that's your main hobby. Do you have some other side hobbies that maybe not are as important, I can't even say it, important as this hobby? Let me know your thoughts on this. I think it's a really fun topic to discuss hobbies. Nowadays, I think it's important to have something there that you enjoy doing. Maybe you don't even call it a hobby, maybe you don't even realise it's a hobby, but I think it's really important to have something, an interest. Video gaming, that's another one I enjoy. Something thrown in there, something you enjoy, something that is your downtime, something you enjoy putting effort into outside of the normal your normal life. I think it's good to have that. But yeah, this has been a really, really fun topic. Thank you very much for watching this episode, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.